is only war.
What is up, gents? 40k Dirtbags here. We're doing a terrain video. If you guys have noticed in 10th edition, there's a lot of kind of miswording, weird sentences. Everybody gets cover. If you guys have seen the one guy's video, shout out to whatever his name is. He's basically saying you can't shoot out of ruins anymore, which is kind of true with the wording. So we're going to go over that today. We're also going to go over benefits of cover, how it works, 10th edition rules, ideas, tactics, all the fun stuff. So if you guys are new to the channel, thanks for clicking on the video. Go check out some more videos. If you guys like the content, definitely support us over on Patreon. We are growing super fast on Patreon. We just actually got up to 8 Grandmasters on Patreon. So if you guys are new and you want to get into the competitive scene, especially in 10th edition, we did rank #1 in Grey Knights last year, and we're ranked #1 in Chaos Space Marines currently. So if you guys are interested in getting better at the game, definitely go to join Patreon. But if not, just go head over to Discord, because there's a lot of awesome dirtbags over there to help each other out all the fucking time. So let's get into the video. It's going to be a super easy, simple, short, hopefully short, cover video for us today. Let me share this with you guys. So the benefits of cover in 10th edition, there's not going to be any dense cover anymore, so the -1 to hit is gone. It's basically all about line of sight and being able to see the model fully, which you guys can let me know if it's going to be the base fully or the model fully, because if one wing is completely like sideways but I can see the full base, is that going to be counted or is it not? Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. But the benefits of cover, everybody basically is going to get add 1 to their armor saving throws. You can't go below a 3+ if you're starting at a 3+. So meaning does not apply to models with a save of 3+ or better against attacks that are AP 0. So if you have AP 0 attacks and you're in cover and you have a 3+ save, you cannot go down to a 2+ save. If you are at a 2+ save, but you're in cover, you can go to a 2+ save, or at least stay to a 2+ save. That's kind of the whole goal of it. I thought it wasn't going to be a 2+ save won't get cover, but it was worded weird. So it's basically if you're at a 3+ save, you cannot go down to a 2+ save. That's all that it means. So you're still going to be able to get cover on Terminators and stuff like that. They have a whole bunch of different stuff now. So Creators and Rubble, I'm not sure if this is going to be used a lot more. At Alternate Universes, we use really just Forest and Ruins, and those are the 2 main ones. A lot of Games Workshop events, you'll be seeing this all over the place. So it's good to know if you go into major GTs or stuff like that. Craters are a little bit different now. So the biggest change I've noticed is that you can't toe in anymore. If you toe in, you don't get cover. You have to be wholly within the feature or behind a forest to gain cover. So we'll go over that. But this one, no movement anymore. So no reducing of movement. Visibility, basically you'll be able to see like the whole model. And each time a range attack is allocated to an infantry model, it's just infantry. So vehicles and monsters do not get cover of craters. But infantry model that is wholly on top of the terrain feature. So your base, and it's going to be weird, especially with these raised edges. But if you're wholly within the terrain feature, you will gain the benefit of cover. So some people play flat terrain for craters, like the vents. So if you're wholly within the vent, you'll get cover. If you're not, you won't get cover for that specific model. Barricades, if you're behind the barricade, you're going to get a model. If you're within 3 inches of it, you're going to get models cover as long as you're behind it. If you can see the whole model, that model is not going to be able to get cover. But if you're behind the thing within 3 inches of it, you're going to be able to get cover. And it says wholly within as well. So being able to measure wholly, everything's wholly within now. So wholly within 3 inches of that terrain feature, you're going to be able to get cover. But also what changed was if you're within 1 inch of the terrain feature, let's say this Space Marine is within 1 inch of that, and then the other guy is within 1 inch, basically you have a 2-inch melee range. So in the charge phase, if an enemy unit is within 1 inch of the terrain feature, so they have to be within 1 inch of that terrain feature, you can still make the charge against that as long as you are within 2 inches of that enemy unit. So essentially you have a 2-inch melee range because the barricades are pretty thick. So you're going to have to be able to be within 2 inches to get an attack on that guy. Now hopefully I think it's within base to base, so that way second rank will be able to do it. Unit opposite side of the terrain tree within 2 inches of them. So I don't think you'll be able to get second rank. I think it's just first rank. You have to be within 2 inches. But if they're not fully visible to every model in that attacking unit because of this terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover. So we'll go over that in a little bit. That's kind of dumb. This one's cool. So battlefield debris and statues. So I always wanted to run like cool statues on the terrain features, like all these, cool different pop-up stuff. So it's basically an obstacle. So you can't end on top of it. But each time a range attack is allocated to a model, if that model is not fully visible, you'll get cover. So it's basically just if you can't fully see the model, that model is going to be able to get cover. It doesn't have a specific distance to it. So models can move up and over and down the terrain feature, but cannot be set up on top. Normal visibility applies. And each time a range attack is allocated to a model, if the model is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of the terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover. So it's basically just the whole time. It's not completely within 3 inches like this, but this is just if I can't see it on the other side of the table, you're going to be able to get cover. Hills, industrial structures, sealed buildings, and armored containers. Armored containers were huge in 9th edition, especially the major GTs. So armored containers aren't going to be like they were before, where if you were within 3 inches of them, you'll get it. This just states kind of the same as this, where these terrain features are raised areas. You can go on top of it as long as you don't have stuff falling off. So your base has to be completely on top of it, kind of like a wall and the second floor. So they changed that as well. If the model does not have a base, no part of the model can be in contact with the battlefield at ground level, cannot overhang the terrain feature. So you cannot overhang at all. So you used to be able to just hop everybody up and kind of hang a shit ton over. Now, if you hop stuff up, you have to be wholly within the terrain feature on that floor and not overhang. Here's an example, like none of these guys' bases can be overhung over the terrain feature, or you can't go up top. Each time a range attack is allocated to the model, if that model is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of the terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover. So all these are worded exactly the same, which we'll go over it in a little bit. Woods, a little bit different now. So woods, again, don't get rid of the, they got rid of the dense cover and stuff like that and the movement. But when this terrain feature is set up on the battlefield, both players must agree upon its footprint. So if it has a footprint, you can agree upon that. If it doesn't, I don't know why it wouldn't, but if it doesn't, you guys have to agree upon before the battle. That is the boundary of the terrain features. And so this is so that players know when a model is wholly within the terrain feature. If the terrain feature is mounted on its base, then the base is the footprint. Models can move through the terrain feature as on 15. Visibility. All right, here's the difference, really. So models in the unit that are wholly within the terrain feature are never considered to be fully visible. So if they're wholly within, you're never fully visible, so you always get the cover, which makes sense. But similar, if the model is not wholly within the terrain feature, feature must look through or over the terrain feature in order to draw a line of sight to another model. If that other model is never considered to be fully visible to that observing model, and so gains the benefit of cover. So the only people that don't get the benefit of cover are aircraft and towering. Everybody else will get the benefit of cover, vehicles, monsters, all the fun stuff. So basically, if you're shooting through a forest, you're going to get the benefit of cover. If you're completely within the forest and you're shooting out, they won't get the benefit of cover unless something else does it. But if you're not wholly within and you're, let's say, towing in, and you're shooting through, they're going to get the benefit of cover. Same thing with you. If they're shooting through the forest and you're on the other side of the forest, you're going to get the benefit of cover. So it's really easy to get cover with forest now. Now, the only thing is, like, if you're on the other side and they can see you wholly because you're not wholly within, you're not going to get the benefit of cover. So let's say you're on this side and they're on the same side as you, but the forest is behind you and you're towing into the forest. Before, you used to be able to get dense and stuff, but now you won't be able to get cover because you're not wholly within. So you have to wholly be within the forest to gain that cover. So, yeah, so that's the difference, is basically being wholly within and within for all of these terrain features. Now, ruins is going to be the biggest one to go over. Footprints, most ruins are going to have footprints. Some ITC, where it's the big, tall, and containers and all that stuff, they don't really have footprints. It's kind of just the layout. So you have to agree upon, both players must agree upon its footprint, that it's boundary of the terrain feature and ground level, so that both players know when a model is wholly within or not. So that's going to be a little bit up to discussion when you're at a RTT or a GT. If you don't have footprints, you're going to have to agree upon both players that, hey, if I'm completely within this part of it, let's say you draw a triangle of the L's, you have to be wholly within that triangle to get it. There's going to be a lot of like finagling and agree upon and be gentleman-like, stuff like that. So same goes with monsters and vehicles as well. If the vehicle's not wholly within that terrain feature, they're not going to get the benefit of cover. So that's good to know. Plunging fire. So this is new to the edition. If you're 6 inches or more above ground level to the enemy opponent, you're going to be able to get +1 to your armor penetration attack. So Grey Knights is definitely going to benefit a lot because you can deep strike fucking all over the table. So if you deep strike up to the 2nd or 3rd floor, you're able to shoot down, and that armor pen is +1 to the armor penetration. So that's actually really cool. Assassins are definitely going to benefit from this a lot. WintherKlinge, just being able to get placed up on the top, not being able to be shot at unless you're within 12 inches. He's going to have an AP4 missile rifle coming right at you. So movement, infantry, and beasts are able to move through. Infantry, beasts, and fly are able to kind of fly up and down the things. So they got rid of swarm. Swarm now cannot, I don't know if the swarm keyword's still there, but swarm can't go through stuff anymore. And walls, floor, ceilings, anything. So basically you can just move through just like before. Fly, infantry, and beasts can go up and down the ground levels. And visibility. So models cannot see over or through this terrain feature until, or a unit outside of this terrain feature cannot draw line of sight to the target on the other side. So it's the same thing where if you have the footprint, you can't see each other on both sides unless you're towing or completely within. But there's a difference with the towing now, which we'll go over. Even if it's possible to draw a line of sight through a window, etc. Aircraft and towering models are the exception to this. Visibility to and from such models is determined normally. Even if the terrain feature is wholly in between them and the observing model. Models can see into this terrain feature normally, and models that are wholly within this terrain feature can see out of them normally. So that's the thing. That's what the other video was showing, where if a model is not wholly within the terrain feature, you cannot see through the terrain feature. So here's an example. Let's say this is your terrain feature, right? This was provided from one of the dirtbags on the Discord. But if you are wholly within the terrain feature, you can see out. If this one guy was kind of halfway in, halfway out down here, he won't be able to see out of the terrain feature, even if this is completely open. Actually took a screenshot for you right here. So this is the guy, if you guys know this guy, but here's an example. This base right here is a little bit off the terrain feature. It's not wholly within. So even though this is completely open on this side, these gaunts cannot be seen because it is not wholly within the terrain feature right there. If this was moved up about an inch, it would be wholly within and be able to see through. Now these gaunts can shoot at this guy and he won't be able to get cover. But this guy cannot shoot the gaunts because he's not wholly within the terrain feature. So remember that, especially with, a lot of first edition tournaments coming up in 10th edition. Hopefully this gets fact day one. But from how it's written now, if your base, same with infantry, if your base is not wholly within the terrain feature, let's say you have a base here, base here, base here, and this base is like right here, but it's a little bit off, this model cannot draw line of sight to these gaunts because of this. Yeah, I'm like in the way, but because of this terrain feature. So that is the biggest change with the terrain rules now. Before, you used to just be able to tow in, you could see true line of sight. But now if you tow in, you can't see anything, even if there's a fucking window there. But they can see you because you're technically towing into the terrain feature. So this guy was going crazy on his stream, which was pretty funny. He got a sub for me, so he made me laugh. But this is also the big difference. So benefit of cover. Each time a range attack is allocated to a model, if that model is either wholly within the terrain feature or it is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit. Hopefully they change that. Every model in the attacking unit, because of this terrain feature, that model gains the benefit of cover. Let's go back to the picture. This one guy who's behind a wall is a part of this same unit. He cannot see this unit right here. So a bunch of these guys can see it. This guy cannot, but the entire unit cannot see this unit wholly. So this whole unit, even though they're in the fucking wide open, is going to get cover. That hopefully they change. But the wording is, or it is not fully visible to every model in that attacking unit. So going with this thing again, if I have one model behind this wall, but all my other Terminators are over here in the open, they can all see this unit. So technically it should be model per model basis, honestly. But these models, they won't be able to get cover. But since the whole unit is one guy who wasn't able to get to that fucking target, this whole unit is going to have cover wide in the open because of this one model behind the wall. This example right here. So when you guys are playing, make sure that all of your guys in the entire unit can see that unit to negate the cover rule. All right. So shooting in, you have to be wholly within or obscuring. And each time a range attack is allocated to a model, if that model is either wholly within a terrain feature or it is not fully visible to every model in that attacking unit. So there's going to be cover for almost everybody in the entire game. So these guys over here can't see these guys over here. Only 1, 2, 3 can see them. So these guys over here, even though they're not in cover, are going to be able to get cover. That's kind of dumb. So let me know in the comments below how dumb this is, right? Hopefully it gets fact day one, but that is basically, like, let's look at this example. All these guys are shooting through this barricade. So since they're not within 3 inches, they're not going to be able to get the cover. But this guy's within 3 inches, but he's fully seen. So he won't be able to get cover. This guy is on the other side of this thing, so he'll be able to get cover. This guy up here will not be able to get cover because he's on top of the flat, like, kind of hill. And then this monster is not fully visible to this one guy right here because you're not drawing the full line of sight through here. So even though this monster is wide in the open, the whole unit won't be able to see this guy fully. So this guy's going to be able to get cover. So, fuck. Everybody gets cover. Everybody gets +1 of the cover save, monster vehicle, all that shit. So AP1 is just negated. Everybody gets armor contempt. Let's go. So, all right. So hopefully, again, they word this properly, and we're going to be able to get cover or negate cover, and it goes model by model basis. Plus, if you tow in, you should be able to see through that thing. So basically, this dreadnought, right, doesn't lose a turn of shooting because he's not wholly within. Now, if he's peeking his base out this way, right, and can draw a line of sight to these guys, then technically he can see and still be able to shoot. But the unit's going to be able to get cover because he can't wholly see the full unit because of that. So let me know if I'm explaining this correctly. Leave it in the comment below. But everybody's going to get cover. Again, we won't know until June 24th when the full thing is released, if any facts are coming out, because the GT pack is going to be released as well. So all the GT coming in turn 1 is going to be updated if you can or not. The mission packets, we don't know any of the missions. And also the GT missions, if they're going to be set or if they're going to be random every single game, and if you're going to be able to get that last-ditch effort 30-point mission as well. I think most tournaments are going to negate that, and you're not going to be able to do that, but who the fuck knows? So, guys, again, hit the subscribe so these videos actually pop up for you guys. We're growing super, super fast. Appreciate you all, my Patreon Dirtbag Nation. And go check out some more videos because there's a bunch of 10th edition stuff coming up. And there's actually 2 videos that was just posted. All these are posted first on Patreon, so you guys get to see them before they're posted onto YouTube. So, appreciate it. Good luck, and we'll see you in another video soon.